Hi guys, my name is Adnan Hasbi and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Rambling of an Analyst on Funny Finance Guy. In today's small episode, I would like to share you guys a story which I heard about active income versus passive income. So in this story, if you guys have been reading books on investing, I'm sure some of you may know this particular story, but I love this story and I want to share it with you guys. And I hope you guys can take benefit from this particular story. So once there was this village, which is about 500 meters away from a stream. Every morning, the village headman will notice villagers will wake up very early in the morning so as to take water. So they will move back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And he realized that with these villagers spending a lot of time getting water, they do not have that much of time being productive. So the village headman came up with a particular idea whereby he gave contracts to two people. The first person is the strongest person in the village, while the second person is the smartest person in the village. So both these villagers were tasked to bring water back and forth the village, whereby the rest of the villagers can focus on other tasks, making the village more productive as a whole. So after giving these particular contracts to only these two people, the first villager, which is Mr. Smart, started carrying water back and forth from the river. First, he started with 2 buckets and he will take 4 rounds back and forth. And eventually, when he got more and more profitable, he moved towards 2 buckets, then 3 buckets, then 4 buckets, and so on and so forth. He was extremely profitable at this point in time. And the reason being, Mr. Smart was missing from the village, to the, I guess, dismay of the rest of the villagers. Months went on, and what happened was Mr. Strong got more and more profitable, and there was no competition for him. And he thought this was a wonderful time, and he started increasing the prices for his water. Eventually, what happened was Mr. Smart one day came to the village, and to the joy of all the villagers, they were wondering what Mr. Smart would do to bring more water back and forth the village. They were thinking that he might come up with a wonderful plan of trying to bring water to the village. So Mr. Smart, he came with a bunch of other strangers. The first stranger is a guy that always had a piece of paper in his face, and he was always pointing at different directions. He was like, no, build it over here. No, build it over there. The second stranger which they noticed was a person which is a very strong person, and he would make pipes and he would lay pipes around the stream to the village. The third person which they noticed is Mr. Money, which has all the money. He would finance everything. And months went on, and eventually what happened was the pipe was ready. And once the pipe was ready, what happened was the villagers could right now enjoy water on demand. And as a result of that, since the water came from the stream straight to the villagers, the water was so much cleaner. While Mr. Strong, he was more and more tired. And as he grew more and more tired, what happened was his productivity, number one, dropped. And number two, the water that he carried from the stream to the villagers got a bit dirtier. And as a result of more competition, what eventually happened was Mr. Strong had to also drop his price. So what happened to Mr. Strong in terms of his energy? It dropped. He got a little bit burnt out. And the next thing was that in terms of his earnings, it also dropped as there's more competition that came into the marketplace. While Mr. Smart, however, after he built that particular pipeline, for the rest of the remaining life, as long as there were villagers, he would continue increasing, or he would continue getting passive income his way, as long as villagers used the water. Eventually, what happened was, as the village got a source of water, the village grew and grew and grew in size. So over here, this is a small story which really inspired me about active income and passive income. Amongst the things which I learned and I'd like to share with you guys is, number one, sometimes we have to change the way we work. Sometimes following conventional wisdom does not, I guess, cut it. At this day and age, with a lot of technological breakthrough, we could see the way we hail cabs has already changed. And all of a sudden, the old way of hailing cabs has changed into hailing cabs using apps. I remember at one time when Uber came into the marketplace, a lot of people were very unhappy. There were a lot of unrest, and some taxi drivers got, I guess, a bit physical to these changes in technology. Eventually, what happened was the adoption rate was so high that right now, more and more people find it a norm to hail a cab using apps. So the first way is that with technological breakthroughs, there is better ways of doing things. And once we find a much better way of doing things and increasing our productivity, guess what? Our income would also increase. Okay, so if your boss did, or if your parents did, or if your teacher did something one way, it may not be the best way in today's, I guess, resources that we have right now. Today we have computers and internet. That's the first lesson. The second lesson which I learned over here is that active income and also passive income. Whether we are building whether we are still looking towards working on an active income, or whether we are slowly building our passive income. Granted, sometimes when we build our passive income, it will be small when we first start the journey, but as time were to go on, when we save enough money, when we invest enough money, what will eventually happen is that asset base will increase, and when that asset base increase, our passive income will also increase. That's the second lesson. The third lesson, which I learned, especially with me being in the startup space, is if you have a great idea, sometimes you don't need money at all. You have also investors. And in Malaysia, there's this thing called venture capitalists or angel investors, where they will invest in your seed idea. The second thing is that you don't really need to work 25 hours in a day. One of the reasons why is that you already have staff members to do your work for you. So if you already maybe build a little business blueprint, make sure that it's sturdy enough where you can get people to work for your business. And what you do is you try to find funding for your particular company, and you'll just stay to make the big decisions. I'm sure many of us read books on how to optimize business and whatnot. And in today, if you look at books which are on the market, there's just so many ways to maybe work 3 or 4 hours in a week in order for us to make that passive income or that income. And finally, what I want to say is always keep on learning, always keep on striving. And with that, I would like to thank the participants on this particular episode. I thank you guys so very much for coming on this, this afternoon episode around 1 or 2. And I would like to thank future viewers for this particular episode. With that, guys, always keep on hustling, and know that investing in stocks is just one way of making money, but there's just so many ways of making passive income. And after I heard this particular story, that opened up a new world for me, whereby right now, today, in fact, if you have a great idea, you can build that particular idea, get someone to invest in your idea, and get someone to work on that particular company. And your basic role is to find idea upon idea upon idea upon idea. And I'm sure when you go through, when you read a lot of articles, I'm sure you could see some people owning 4 or 5 different businesses, and they are at billionaire status already. Okay, guys, with that, I would like to thank you so very much for this, for hopping in this particular live episode. I noticed there's a newcomer in this live episode. I do apologize for having like random random live episodes. I think in months ahead, when I get more used towards having live sessions, I would have a scheduled approach to everything. With that, thanks guys.